Okay. So I am fortunate to have been part of the Enslaved description group, and I'm also fortunate to present with Dean Rehberger. And I wanted to let you know, calling this Seeing Daylight. I've been looking at this as we started out kind of in the dark and climbing a bunch of mountaintops, trying to get to this point that we're at now. And I do feel that we were beginning to see some daylight. Our group is formed of many individuals that have experience with enslaved person projects and enslaved description. And this is the list. The group was formed in the fall of 2020. And we had our first meeting just January 14th in 2021. The focus of our work over this past year has, in a large part, been dealing with controlled concept vocabularies, including working on the rules for controlled concept vocabularies. And the primary ones that we've been trying to develop, and they're still works in progress, event types, documentary form types, slavery era, demographic groups, occupation, and event CPF participation roles. This just gives you the first few pages of what we worked on with the control concept vocabulary management system. And I think that you're going to receive a little bit more information about that in another presentation. But we did work quite a bit on that last year, and we had presented a little bit on it in last fall, and then we did finalize that. Also, event types for the slavery era demographic group, slavery enslaved description group. We went through trying to look at the different events from different projects, and this is a combined list that we came up with, and there was more detail about those. We also, in the documentary form types, came up with a quite long list. And I have just the little icon showing you that there was also more to this. We had description, we had looking at it with domain groups and different other ways that we had, but this is still a work in progress and where that will go. Looking at occupations, likewise, this is an outline that you see on the left, and you can see a couple of spreadsheets where we also dealt with this in other detail. And for the slavery era demographic groups, it is a long list, trying to figure out how to describe these groups and what key ones we would focus on. At this point, I think we are focusing on this this limited list, but it is also a very involved list. And this year has been an interesting year in terms of where we started and where I started on this project, approaching Daniel Peaty. The idea of slavery code that I had, and then it has evolved through our group efforts into seeds, and I'm going to explain a little bit of that. Back in 2017, Daniel was asking me, what are you talking about with slavery code? And he was trying to chart it on the board there, asking what was the purpose behind it. And you can see that the question still exists. And I have said again that I think it's basically used to record a transaction and event for slavery era impacted persons. There was also concern expressed in our group about putting the owner or the enslaver so much at the forefront, and that there would be likely some pushback. And I really feel strongly about this, that the relationship to the enslaver is essential to our research, because these people, in many cases, were enslaved, and even, the non-enslaved. We need to know that. And I wanted to just also throw out a couple of questions that I have for you. By withholding and not displaying the enslaver, are we deferring to the descendants of the enslaver or of the enslaved? Is this like current debates over CRT in reverse? What efforts are now sanitizing slavery with erasure, rewriting, and burial? And I threw in a biblical quote for some reason: the truth shall set you free, thinking about the enslaved and needing that, that information, that we need the truth. We don't need it obscured or hidden. We need to know these facts. For many of you who've followed me the past few years, and for our enslaved description group, we understand what I'm talking about when I say slavery code. But I think there are probably some that do not know what I'm referring to. So just quickly, a quick review. That is a shorthand way of writing data that stays with that specific name entry for that specific record. It gives visibility, specificity, and portability to that fact. And I've been asking, how can we connect archival records of the enslaved without including all of this descriptive information? And there are 3 examples on the bottom here about the person named Alan Battle. And these are the slavery code, the way it would look, the way I had formulated it to look. And I just, it's giving concentrated information that would stay with that person, that specific event. I'll talk about that a little bit in a second. During the course of this year also, there's been an evolution of the name. We had discussions about the use of the term slavery code. And in fact, I had started out before we got started on this project with the name owner code, which was probably even more problematic. And that during this period that we've been discussing it over the past year, I proposed changing it to slavery era code to be more inclusive. And Dean was again pointing out that he thought that the really problematic term there was code. Again, because of slavery codes, Black codes. And I thought I was getting around it by saying slavery code. But he had pointed out an example where slavery code was used for Black codes, well, or for slavery codes, one or the other. So he proposed using slavery era entities. And Daniel and I discussed this. Daniel came up with slavery era entities description components. And then I got to thinking, well, wouldn't that be cool to just make the acronym SEEDS? And so I had put segments on it. I asked, what do you think? Segments, sections, and then we came up with systems. So SEEDS stands for Slavery Era Entities Description Systems, and that is the new term instead of using slavery code. Also, we've defined more clearly the purpose of this. It is a tool for recording slavery era events, events being the key word. It's a concise view of basic information, a shortcut into an overwhelming amount of data, a basic resource to help researchers eliminate and connect data. There's still the 7 basic areas that I want to focus on. The name, the exist state, the descriptive terms, the event entry, the location, the record type, the dates. And I also put out that software platforms could be used to automate SEEDS and that to make that searchable and to deconstruct it into its component parts for search. But what I also, and I guess we all came up with, was that what we were getting at were 3 basic types of slavery era events. There's the event, there's the event plus the controlling entity, and there's the event plus the controlling entity and the transaction. This diagram on the bottom is still showing that string, but I want to show you how that has evolved also. This makes it maybe a little more clear. You probably will have questions later, but I'll try my best. Again, looking at those 3 examples, what do you know about Allen Battle from this? And I'm saying that using these events, you get a chronological bias using SEEDS of the events. The first example is an event from a book, and it gives the event plus the controlling entity plus the transaction. The second is an event from a cohabitation certificate. And we have just the event plus the controlling entity. This person is working for Kempe battle. And in the last one, this is just the event. It's a census record for that person. However, as Daniel said, we can get to the same point without using the slavery code string. And he's been pointing this out to me all along. I've been holding on to slavery code until we saw a vision that would provide the same results. So this is where it's getting to that seeing daylight part. We're beginning, I've crossed out the string, which Daniel calls it the slavery code string that I have there. And we're reimagining how seeds event types will look in SNAC. And I say, you know, this will create the chronological biokiss, and we'll be able to unmerge or merge some of these events into a person, into a CPF, and make it searchable. Also, just a quick review of the goals. Still having the specificity, the visibility, the portability. Some of the previous databases often record the events separately in separate parts and omit data, such as the enslaver's name. Some of them summarize events in ways that are unhelpful, and some require digging to find the key information. I'm hoping, and our group is working on this, that, and these are some of my reflections too, that seeds will provide basic key information from an event. It will display key information from that event. The display will keep the information as a unit and not disperse it or use it just as a summarization of multiple events. The event is also quickly visible to minimize further research. It's also set up with the means of comparison with other seeds events. It's searchable in its component parts, and it is a unit that is portable, that can be merged and unmerged into CPF records. So on June 30th, I emailed Daniel saying, I'm so excited. I'd seen the graph that he had there, and we had talked about it. And I said, I'm so excited about the path you're setting. And on July the 1st, which happens to be my mother's birthday, Daniel emailed back, it's really just the fruition of the whiteboard sketches I drew many years ago when I met you for the first time in Chapel Hill. And so I think we are seeing daylight, and that we're ready to really get to some exciting areas for SNAC. And I think we're at a point where also recognizing that we need all of your help to make this really happen, that we're all playing separate instruments in separate archives, and that in SNAC we have the opportunity to play as an orchestra and really define some of the enslaved that have not been defined well before. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Dean. Thank you for listening. I'll stop sharing if I can figure this out. Oops. Okay.
Thanks, Bernita.
Thank you.
Dean, when you're ready.
I am looking for right now. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can, and we can see your screen.
And you can see my screen. Can you see the, oh, wow. Just a second. It's gonna, it doesn't cover everything. All right, hi everyone. I've just got just a few minutes left to talk about a few things. I just want to say thank you to Bernita, who's really done a lion's share of the work here, as well as the whole Enslaved Description Working Group. Has done a wonderful job. Of course, we all thank Daniel over and over again, so that gets kind of tiring, but it is amazing how he's doing all the work behind the scenes on a lot of these different groups. But the one thing I want to do here, and I put into, let me see if I can get that, is just to remind everyone that one of the things that when we look at a document like this, at a bill of sale, of course, this is a document of terror and oppression and control. A lot of times we just see it as a document of sale between rich families, but it's one of forced family separation. And so that it's really, really important that the kind of work that Bernita is doing is, in a sense, to bring us, and what Daniel has done. Let me see.
Is everyone seeing your screen okay?
Is everyone seeing my screen?
Dean, can you try to there? That's a bit better. Can you do a presentation mode?
Yes, I can. Hold on just one second.
Thanks. Probably use slideshow at the top left.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. So as we see the bill of sale, of course, center is the person being sold, Bill, boy, Bill. And also we do have the owners, the former owner and the new owner in this event. The event is obviously has a location, it has a location date, and it ultimately has the actual record of sale. But it is within this context that, of course, that we're doing all these descriptions. And as Bernita has told you, one of the things that we've done a really good job of is, in a sense, so far describing the larger conceptual work that we've done. And we're still working on, but done a good deal of work in kind of defining the actual vocabulary that we're using. But in terms of the primary entities, like the notion of person, what becomes important is actual description of the attributes being used that we have done. For example, the name will use existing designated components for parsing of names. Example names of enslaved person, other entities related to slavery will be provided. Epithets will be included in name or biography. Birth, death, or active, and such. The work has been completed for the corporate body in the same way in terms of the attributes, and for the family as well.
Dean, I think you're still not sharing. You want me to share and then I move it.
Oh, so you're not seeing any of these slides?
I don't.
We are seeing the slides. We're not seeing it in a
They're
presentation
not
mode, full screen.
Oh, you're just seeing the little, okay, hold on. You would think that somebody who runs a digital humanities center has technology that I could do simple things like this. But you know, that's the way it goes. Hold on, share the screen. There we go. Now you see it.
Yes.
That's it.
Oh, cool.
Perfect. Thank you.
So now, just as I was just about to finish up anyways, because I was just wrapping up, what we basically what the group has done is done an exceptional job of really getting the larger concepts down here, thinking through a lot of the more important attributes that need to be defined. And we've worked really hard at coming up with the controlled concept vocabulary, but a lot of work still has to be done on those areas. The event, of course, is absolutely central to what we're looking at, as before when I showed you the entity map. It's really key to think about events, especially events in the lives of those enslaved, becoming really key moments, because for the longest time, it was always argued that we can't know anything about those enslaved, but sadly, because people were treated as property, there are, as archivists, you know, lots of records. But it's the importance and it's the care in which we extract the information from these records. And of course, by doing so, we can build up the overall lives of people. The resource descriptions are the same as those in SNAC. And of course, the relations are very much the same in terms of the SNAP record in context that has been defined. And of course, this is the wonderful thing about working within the larger SNAC umbrella, is a lot of work has been done and we're simply making additions here, as you can see, in terms of the relation of property in the sense of events that have been added. So with that said, and I didn't say very much because Bernita did a lot of the lion's share of work in thinking through a lot of the information that we needed to present today. So with that, I'll end on this slide and ask for questions from the audience and then get out of this presentation so I can see everyone again.
Thanks, Bernita and Dean.